Hi guys, hope you had a good week. So rather than type out a long email, because I'm a bit impatient for typing, which is quite funny because I'm writing a book, which probably explains why it's taking a bit longer, because I enjoy getting my ideas across. But the physical act of writing can be a bit time consuming and frustrating sometimes. So I thought I'd share my weekly reflections and my thoughts on a video rather than an email. So some of my kind of takeaways and in a week, I normally have different things I'm focusing on. I have different projects. We obviously run an accounting business, so we've got the day to worry about, but a lot of my time is on certain projects in a week. So I end up having lots of ideas, or I come across a lot of learnings, distinctions, because I do spend quite a lot of time learning myself. I'm in various different groups, mastermind groups I've been in over the years, and a handful at the moment. So I'm just sharing what I've learned as I come across it, really. So right, number one is you want to go deep and not shallow to make progress in your life. I think Stephen Bartlett talks about this in his Sexy Happy Millionaire, his book. He's got a new book now, which is, I think, the 33 Rules of Growth or Laws of Growth. But in that book, he talks about how if you've kind of got this scattergun approach where you're trying to move one step in 10 different directions, you're not going to get very far from where you started. But if you move 10 steps in one direction, you're going to get a lot further. And I think we can all relate to this to some extent, that less can be more. And I'm guilty of this sometimes. As a business owner, we often chase the shiny new object. So if you can go deep on one thing, you can often get better results. So one of the things I've learned recently is, rather than just looking for the next book, the next training event, next webinar, if it's really worth it, if the topic, if the subject matter, if the author, if it's really worth going deep into that book or whatever it is, you're probably better to really immerse yourself and go back to it again and really study the action points, the takeaways, the learnings from that, as opposed to just looking for the next thing. I've gone back to a few books 2 or 3 times recently. So Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill in the 30s, one of the greatest books ever written about mindset. Stephen Covey, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, keep on coming back to. So there's various books that I will go back to, and I think sometimes focusing on one area is a bit like shining a magnifying glass, can be a lot more powerful. Number 2 is if you're overwhelmed, I'll keep this one short and sweet, it's better to focus on who, not how, which I've talked about in previous reflections. It's just the concept of when we try and think about how to do everything ourselves, it's very overwhelming and we think we need to know everything. If we simply think who's the right partner, who's the right employee, the right outsourced person, the right subcontractor, whoever it is, the right who can put your business to the next level, or it can solve a lot of your problems, rather than trying to understand and fix everything yourself. And I'm not a DIY person, so for me it's definitely who, not how, when it comes to DIY in the house. Number 3 is core values. We've talked about that in the past, and I think this is a topic being covered elsewhere. Sorry. Core values are not wishy-washy things you just put on the wall. They basically create a culture of tough conversations. If you've got core values that the team believe in, or standards that you believe in as the business owner, even if it's just you, that can reflect in difficult conversations with your customers, your suppliers, your team. If you have the right core values, they should create a strong culture. They're not just these kind of fluffy things you put on the wall. Number 4, there's more than one way to be successful. You just need to find one that works for you. So a lot of people say you need to do this, don't do that. In the accounting industry, a lot of people get obsessed about timesheets. How dare you do timesheets? You're like a dinosaur. You're so fashioned. And there's people say, why would you not do timesheets? You're stupid because you're missing out on all this data. And it kind of just makes me laugh that you can often get people successful doing it and not doing it. And it goes for lots of different things. It's like, what is the best diet in the world? It's the diet that you can stick to. So just wanted to say there's more than one way of being successful. Just find a way that works for you. Obviously, there are some fundamental laws, as there is in nature, in terms of you have to add value to your customers to grow a business. That's just you know, if you don't add value, you're not going to have a business. But there's often lots of different ways of achieving something. You know, it's not just one way. And finally, number 5 is I've started working on my own kind of flashcards and having themes for these. So I used to have these as revision cards when I was studying. But going back to going deep and really immersing yourself in an idea, I've started putting some of my biggest learnings from people on flashcards. So if there's an expression, there's a quote, there's a saying that I think is worthy to come back to and review and think about, I've got a section of flashcards. So one of them, for example, is you need to basically give to any man or woman more than what you take. And that's such a big, powerful thing for me. And that's just one example. So I've started kind of coming up with my own little cards I can refer back to for business and life. And I'm going to expand on that and have some of my own ideas as well as other people's ideas. So that's really 5 things that I wanted to share with you for the week. If you've got any thoughts, any comments, reach out to me. Or if there's anything specifically you want me to share, I'm happy to do that. We're going to be doing our next Profit First Club webinar on the last Thursday of this month at 12 p.m. and I will send across those details soon. Thanks, guys. Cheers.